That mandate and all the rules that go with it were sent out to school districts this afternoon, and it appears that most are welcoming it. Framingham here, one of more than 100 districts that already had a mask mandate in place.
I'm totally in favor of it.
I like it. I think that it will keep everyone safe.
Masks will be part of the back-to-school supplies in Massachusetts, the state officially issuing a mandate for all students and staff at K-12 schools.
It's definitely difficult to meet new people and really get to know everyone with something covering your face. So, but I'm just glad that we're wearing them just to keep everyone safe.
The mandate includes some familiar rules. Masks are required indoors except when eating, drinking, or during mask breaks. There are exemptions for medical or behavioral reasons, and masks must be worn for indoor sports-related activity.
And the response from the membership has been generally very positive.
The head of the Massachusetts Association of School Committees says more than 100 districts already enacted a mask mandate, and the organization urged the state to take the lead.
We wanted some consistency. This is one exception where we really did want the state to sort of take the lead. During the month of September seemed to be good public policy, cautious public policy, and not an overreaction.
So masks will be required of everyone in schools until October 1st. Then middle and high schools that reach the 80% vaccination rate can unmask. However, the Commissioner of Education now has the authority to change that timeline. Live in Framingham, Sarah Conji, WCVB News Center 5.
Sarah, thank you. It was back to school in Revere today. The city had already put a mask order in place. Students and parents adjusting and ready to get back to the classroom.
He's comfortable wearing the mask. We follow the rules. It's just about following the rules.
He feels comfortable. He actually doesn't mind his mask.
I'm glad that it's protecting us from COVID, but I really don't like the masks. It's so hot.
Not sure yet.
Revere's Mayor Brian Arrigo says tonight that he wouldn't be surprised if masks were necessary for the entire school year. We have just received the latest Massachusetts numbers for COVID-19. Take a look. There are 1,400 new cases reported in the state. 3 more people have died, and 569 people are now hospitalized with the virus. 145 of those patients are in the ICU.
Pfizer says tonight it has begun the official process to request government approval for booster shots.
Meanwhile, Johnson & Johnson is out with data on its vaccine and might also benefit from a booster. Our David Bieniek is live in Franklin right now with the breakdown of the new information tonight. David.
Good evening, Ed. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is the one that, according to an NYU study out last month, had the biggest drop-off in effectiveness against the Delta variant. Now, according to this new data from the company, boosters might fix that.
You're brave.
At vaccination clinics like this one in Franklin, they're still only giving out initial doses of vaccines, but getting more and more questions about when the boosters are coming. And what are you telling those folks?
Well, nothing as of yet.
So far, Johnson & Johnson has said its vaccine only requires 1 shot. But now the company says a new laboratory study compares the immune response of J&J recipients who got 1 shot to another group that got 2 shots. And the researchers found that the double shot group produced 9 times as many antibodies.
But I guess I would be cautiously optimistic that this looks promising for J&J with respect to additional doses of vaccine, either in the form of a second dose or a booster dose.
Dr. Camille Cotton with Mass General says Johnson & Johnson now needs to follow up with real-world clinical studies to see if its booster recipients are really better protected against coronavirus infections.
And hopefully we will know that answer soon.
In Massachusetts, about 300,000 people have received the J&J vaccine so far, which is about 7% of the state's population considered fully vaccinated. Even with free ice cream, UMass student James Quinton was reluctant to get vaccinated.
I kind of waited until last minute because I have to get it for school.
And he's not so sure he'll be back for a booster.
If I don't have to get it, I'd rather not.
Public health experts are warning people not to try to get a booster before one is officially approved for your age group, for the vaccine that you got. They say they're still waiting for data on possible side effects, and they need to determine the exact dose for each booster shot. Live in Franklin, David Bieniek, WCVB News Center 5.
David, thank you for that. Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton not appearing before cameras today, a day after that secret and controversial trip to Afghanistan. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi making it clear she is unhappy with the unauthorized action.
But obviously it's produced questions. What about members of the state's delegation? And what's the reaction of the voters in the 6th District? Our Peter Eliopoulos is live right now in Salem with that part of the story. Peter?
And Ed, some in the delegation are siding with the speaker and that this wasn't a good idea. Others not commenting at all, and constituents have mixed opinions.
Because we just turned our back.
Congressman Seth Moulton facing backlash tonight from fellow lawmakers on a trip he made to Afghanistan with Michigan Congressman Peter Meijer. The Salem Democrat and Iraq war veteran saying, "We conducted this visit in secret, speaking about it only after our departure to minimize the risk and disruption to the people on the ground, and because we were there to gather information, not grandstand."
They certainly took time away from what we had been planning to do that day.
Moulton says no plane seats were taken from refugees. The Pentagon critical of the trip.
They did fly out on a military aircraft. I honestly don't know what the seat capacity was on that aircraft.
Fellow Democrats, including the House Speaker, also against the visit.
We didn't want anybody to think this was a good idea and that they should try to follow suit.
I don't think people should question his sincerity or his motives in going. I think the Speaker of the House addressed the fact that none of us should be involved at this stage.
Without him having to go all the way over there, all the resources, we can see it ourselves. But thanks, Seth.
Differing opinions coming from Moulton's constituents.
I'm glad that he's, has the nerve to go there and see for himself and make the president accountable.
Now, Congressman Moulton's office telling us just moments ago that he's on his way back from overseas. He says he'll have more to share about his trip there in the coming days. We're live in Salem this evening. I'm Peter Eliopoulos, WCVB News Center 5.
Thank you, Peter. Commitment 2021 now. Today, the last day to register for Boston's preliminary municipal election. It is now just 3 weeks away. It's a historic step in the process of selecting a new mayor for the city with this diverse field. Voters must register by 8 tonight for the September 14th election. And you can check your registration status. We have a link on our website, WCVB.com.
Next on WCVB News Center 5.
5 investigates tonight. They wore the badge of the Massachusetts State Police. How they also allegedly stole thousands of taxpayer dollars and were allowed to retire and collect hefty pensions.
The heat advisory is in place for tomorrow. Relief is on the way this weekend, but it comes with some rain, and I'll timeline those showers.
He is off to L.A. The Patriots trade Sony Michel to the Rams. The deal and the other big news from Pat's camp ahead in sports.
You're watching WCVB News Center 5 at 6.
This is new tonight. 5 investigates learning more state troopers are in the process of paying back money in the Troop E overtime scandal.
They're accused of stealing OT pay, but were never prosecuted. And as our Kathy Curran discovered, they're still allowed to pocket tens of thousands of dollars each year. Kathy.
And Erica and Ed, we're talking about many former Troop E members who left the department after allegedly getting paid for hours they never worked. They weren't criminally charged, and some are paying back restitution, but they're still allowed to collect their pensions. Retired State Trooper Kevin Maple wore the badge of the Massachusetts State Police for almost 26 years until he filed for retirement in the midst of the Troop E overtime scandal. A state investigation found Maple was paid $45,000 in overtime pay for hours he allegedly never worked. He's one of 8 Troop E members who were never criminally charged but are now paying back restitution after civil settlements with the state inspector general and attorney general, all allowed to collect hefty state pensions.
How can it be that the penalty is just to pay back what you stole and get rewarded with a pension?
Greg Sullivan is with the government watchdog group, the Pioneer Institute.
I just don't think it's enough to let a person who committed a crime, in this case a sworn police officer, to just pay the money back and walk away.
Take a look at Maple's numbers alone. He paid back $45,000, but he's getting an $80,000 a year pension for the rest of his life. And he pocketed an almost $42,000 buyout on his way out the door. Troopers Kevin O'Brien and Sean Hoy weren't prosecuted either. O'Brien paid $80,000 in restitution for time not worked and is collecting a $79,000 a year pension. Hoy paid $37,000 back, his pension $88,000 a year.
What type of message does that send to people in the private sector and to taxpayers?
I think it just ratchets up the cynicism of the general public about government in general. It takes a lot of deliberate malice to steal $80,000 worth of the taxpayers' money, drip by drip, shift by shift.
Let me be clear that today's charges are the beginning and not the end of this federal investigation.
The federal investigation ended with prosecutions of only 8 of the dozens of troopers who allegedly stole overtime pay. We asked the U.S. Attorney's Office why their investigation didn't go deeper. A spokesperson responded, "We do not have any comment." The State Retirement Board can only move to take the troopers' pensions away if they were convicted of a crime directly related to their job.
The end result, when all the hullabaloo dies down, is someone's going to be able to pay back the $80,000 that he stole and get $80,000 pension for the rest of his life. It's outrageous.
And so far, the Inspector General and Attorney General have collected $204,000 in restitution in the scandal. The AG's office also investigated the overtime abuse and only prosecuted 3 lieutenants. A spokesperson tells us they focused on supervisors because they were responsible for creating a culture in which misconduct was approved and allowed. Kathy Curran, 5 Investigates.